covering up their tracks. And so you're going to continue to see these out-and-out attacks coming from those of the unrighteous, because this truly is a war between good and evil. So right now you have a window, family, a window to get yourself indexed. I recommend that whatever you got rat-holed and put away that you might have of value, convert it to something that you can use to get yourself indexed, because it's going to get harder in the future because things are going to get worse. So I highly recommend that you get it done like yesterday. The April 8th, we're already getting false flag warnings of what could be coming down on April the 8th. That's less than a couple of weeks away, family. They're saying there's reports coming out that the things they used in Chile and Lahaina and in Gaza, those laser weapons, that they would be using them as some kind of false flag event around the time of April the 8th. We've also been told that they would be stopped. But at what point? I hope I've shaken you up or shook you up enough tonight to get you to wake up out of your sleep and realize that everything that Yahoshua has been telling us is real. This is not a game, and this is the end of all of those old evil systems for a new beginning. This is a new beginning under the righteous world and the destruction of the unrighteous world. But the righteous want to make sure that we know who you are. So you've got to identify yourself, because we've got to know our customers. Prove to us by the works of your hands that you are indeed productive and ready and willing to go forward to do what you can, what Father Yah has put in your hands to do, to build up and not to tear down, to give and not to take. There have been way too many takers in the world and very few givers. As they say, the proof is in the pudding, the works of your hands. Each and every one of us are going to be judged by the works of our hands at the white throne judgment. That is approaching us very quickly, at which point in time Yahoshua will open up the books. And everything that is written in those books is what we will be judged by. So the window is closing, family. And that window is closing quickly. It will be over before you know it. And what we're dealing with on a day-by-day basis, we're having to stay awake with what is going on. The higher the index, the more the population is concentrated. At an index of 0, the population would be evenly distributed across all the nation. State, county, or city. An index value of 100 would have all the population concentrated within one subdivision of the larger entity. I hope you wouldn't mean to read that, sir. With that, I'd like to go ahead and yield the call to Dr. HENDO I.L. Henderson, the ad hoc Chief Justice of the Universal World Court. He is Yahoshua Mashiach, the Son of Man, the Son of God, in the flesh. Rise and shine, sir.
Rise and shine. How do you hear me?
Very clearly, sir.
Well, based on the world and the five divine principles of the universe, let me say, based upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, let me, for a brief moment, step into the lives of the most stiff-necked people on the planet. I will not find myself at no given time apologizing for the statement that I'm making now, the statement I just made. Neither will I find myself at any given time feeling remorse for making this statement. Because right now, we are living in a time where everyone is concerned about all the things that are going on, but they don't want to deal with them. And those that are dealing with it are not rationally dealing with it. They're dealing with it like a bunch of idiots that have lost their minds. And you know, believe it or not, I'm sitting here listening to the host. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to the call myself. And I'm wondering, why are you telling them all of this information? They don't care. And the information you're giving them, they have no care for it. They have no care whatsoever. All they want you to do is tell them when they're going to get a check or they're going to get a brand new house, and when will they be able to look down on others. That's all they want to hear about. Everything else that you're telling them and taking them through is like wasting their time. I would tell them they've already ran out of time. Now, you're talking to them about, I would say, indexing. And the average American that you run into, sit them down for a brief moment and talk to them about indexing, and they will sit there and tell you they have no clue. No clue. I'm going to give you 6 letters right now, and then, yes, what I sent you, I'm going to ask you to read it, because there's no need for me to be talking when it has already been written on the planet, whereby the brain-dead United States of America citizens are going to be killed off this planet. They're going to be exterminated off this planet, and there's nothing we can do to save them. Nothing. The 6 letters I'm going to give you, but C-E-N-S-U-S. I did not say J-E-S-U-S. I say C-E-N-S-U-S. Can you tell me what that means?
Census, that's an accounting of the people.
That is called indexing.
Yep.
Indexing. It just didn't come on the planet 30 years ago. It didn't come on the planet 40 years ago. It's been on the planet since the beginning of time. And every brain-dead American, if they might call themselves that, I don't know what tribe they came from. They had to come from what I call the dumb tribe. Because they just don't get it. The census has been on this planet since the beginning of time. During the Barack Obama's dumb would-be administration, they came out trying to do a new census. They couldn't get it together. They couldn't put it together. For the simple fact, Barack Obama couldn't even identify himself as either being a nigger or a cracker. Excuse me. He couldn't identify with neither one of those would-be so-called names. He wasn't a Negro. He wasn't an African-American. He didn't classify himself as being black. He was not Caucasian. He was not classified to be a honky. He was not classified in any would-be category. So thereby, he couldn't censorize himself. He couldn't put himself in the census as accountability, because he couldn't claim a race. He couldn't claim a nationality. And even though he was walking around with a Moorish Science Temple card in the back of his pocket, claiming to be a member of some would-be so-called group of people from a Moorish government, he still had no classification for his identification. Excuse me. So this is what we're doing right now. If you might do me a bit of a favor, it's for the people, though, but I'm going to ask you, because I'm asking that it happen. I need you to read the census or that paper. Did you get that? Did you receive it?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay. I need you to understand that I sent you several sheets. One of them says census. The other one is a would-be definition of non-productive. Another one is a sheet that tells you the indexing and population and its meaning, right?
Right. That's
so
what
I want you, the one I want you to start with, did you get the census?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I need you to read that particular document. And I need the whole United States of America, please listen to what's being read. I'm going to yield, because I need them to hear what's going to be read, because it's out there on the website. It's on everybody's internet all over the planet. Everybody has at least their access to a computer, whether they know how to read on it, whether they know how to type on it, whether they know how to get on it. They'll best find somebody who can get them on there. Because this has been on this computer now for about over 300 years or more. Plus, we're talking about about 1,000 years right now. This has been on the computer and on the minds of men. And Americans still claim it, well, we haven't heard of it yet. It's like, if you didn't get it in the mail, you're still going to pay the bill. Get ready. Would you please, for us, host, let me first do this. Rise and shine. Welcome to the call. This is the United States of America's call, in which we have designated it under that title, because you are the people that seem to be least informed or haven't been informed, or you're just plain old believing and following after misinformation after misinformation. Until you get proper information, you don't know how to follow it. So again, if you would please read what I sent you for the census is concerned.
Yes, sir. A census is the procedure of systematically acquiring, recording, and calculating population information about the members of a given population. This term is used mostly in connection with national population and housing censuses. Other common censuses include censuses of agriculture, traditional culture, business, supplies, and traffic censuses. The United Nations defines the essential features of population and housing censuses as, quote, individual enumeration, universality within a defined territory, simultaneity and defined periodicity, end quote, and recommends that population censuses be taken at least every 10 years. UN recommendations also cover census topics to be collected, official definitions, classifications, and other useful information to coordinate international practices. The UN's Food and Agricultural Organization in turn defines the census of agriculture as a statistical operation for collecting, processing, and disseminating data on the structure of agriculture, covering the whole or a significant part of the country. In a census of agriculture, data are collected at the holding level. The word is of Latin origin during the Roman Republic. The census was a list of all adult males fit for military service. The modern census is essential to international comparisons of any type of statistics, and censuses collect data on many attributes of a population, not just the number of individuals. Censuses typically begin as the only method of collecting national demographic data and are now part of a larger system of different surveys. Although population estimates remain an important function of a census, including exactly the geographic distribution of the population or the agricultural population, statistics can be produced about combination of attributes. For example, education by age and sex in different regions. Current administrative data systems allow for other approaches to enumeration with the same level of detail, but raise concerns about privacy and the possibility of biasing estimates. A census can be contrasted with sampling, in which information is obtained only from a subset of a population. Typically, main population estimates are updated by such intercensual estimates. Modern census data are commonly used for research, business marketing, and planning, and as a baseline for designing sample surveys by providing a sampling frame, such as an address register. Census counts are necessary to adjust samples to be representative of a population by weighing them as a common in opinion polling. Similarly, stratification requires knowledge of the relative sizes of different population strata, which can be derived from census enumerations. In some countries, the census provides the official counts used to apportion the number of elected representatives to regions, sometimes controversially. An example is Utah versus Evans. In many cases, a carefully chosen random sample can provide more accurate information that attempts to get a population census. A census is often constructed as the opposite of a sample, as its intent is to count everyone in a population, rather than a fraction. However, population censuses do rely on a sampling frame to count the population. This is the only way to be sure that everyone has been included, as otherwise those not responding would not be followed up on and individuals could be missed. The fundamental premise of a census is that the population is not known, and a new estimate is to be made by the analysis of primary data. The use of a sampling frame is counterintuitive, as it suggests that the population size is already known. However, a census is also used to collect attribute data on the individuals in the nation, not only to assess population size. This process of sampling marks the difference between a historical census, which was a house-to-house process or the product of an imperial decree, and the modern statistical project. The sampling frame used by a census is almost always an address register. Thus, it is not known if there is anyone resident or how many people there are in each household. Depending on the mode of enumeration, a form is sent to the householder. An enumerator calls or administrative records for the dwelling are accessed. As a preliminary to the dispatch of forms, census workers will check any address problems on the ground. While it may seem straightforward to use a postal file for this purpose, this can be out of date, and some dwellings may contain a number of independent households. A particular problem is what are termed communal establishments, a category that includes student residences, religious orders, homes for the elderly, people in prison, etc. As these are not easily enumerated by a single householder, they are often treated differently and visited by special terms of census workers to ensure they are classified appropriately. You wish that I continue, sir?
No, because I have something else now I want you to read.
Okay, I just
I sent you one, and it titles Index and Population. Do you see that one?
Yes, sir. It just came up a moment ago. Let me open this up. Okay.
Read that one. Start by the would-be subject. Index and population. Now read it.
Okay. The higher the index, the more the population is concentrated. At an index of 0,
Zero? You said 0? Go ahead. Now,
yes,
net 0. Go ahead.
Yeah, at an index of 0, the population would be evenly distributed all across a nation, state, county.
A nation, state. That means every nation that's on this planet. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
State, county, or city. At index value of 100 would have all population concentrated within one subdivision of the larger entity.
Now, I need you to read the other one. Index and population meaning. Can you read that one?
Yes, sir.
Start by saying index.
Index and population, that's the one I just read.
No, the one index and population meaning, the meaning of it. Where it says indexes are a useful way for us to compare a specific group of people, often bookers, to a large set of populations. The people are of a local or region, a statistical measure with a basis in information theory that quantifies the difference between one, that we say, probability distributed from a reference probability, and therefore. Now, the last one I gave you was based upon non-productive. Can you read that for me?
Okay, what I've got that have come through, I'm not seeing one on non-productive, beloved. I've read the last one.
It says non-producting, listen, non-producting are able to produce, they're unable to produce, not able to produce goods, crops, or even economic benefit, trending to be less forceful in meaning that unproductive means non-productive land, achieving little, if nothing, by the time wasted non-productive activities. Now, what all this means for the United States of America, the brain-dead nation that it is right now, is all of this came out in 2000. That's why they were having such a grand old time in 2000 of censoring everyone that was in the United States of America. Because the United Nations had asked for it. They wanted an accurate count of the so-called would-be United States citizens, because roughly America was talking about 328 million American citizens. But the United Nations already knew that America has 500 million people that were there at that moment in time in 2000 when they were claiming only to be 328 million people. Now, the reason why the United Nations was asking this is because they wanted to know from the United States of America, if you've got 500 million people, are you planning on eliminating all those people down to the count of 328 million, or what is your plan? What's What's your point of referencing 328 million people when we already know that you got 500 million people there in that land? And possibly even more. You know why? Because the census that came about, that everyone sent their names and everyone ID'd themselves, identified themselves. That's why it was so important in 2000. Go get your birth certificate. And they're doing that to everybody now. You can't even go get a license renewed. You can't get a marriage license. You can't do anything now unless it's truly done illegally. Because they have required everyone come up with a birth certificate. They'll ask that. Everybody's wondering why it's so hard now for you to even get a bank account. Because the bank account just now not asking for 2 pieces of ID, but they're asking you for your birth certificate. If you don't have that birth certificate, they are going to classify you non-productive. That means that you don't exist. Now, what indexing does for you that we're doing is that where your birth certificate is obsolete or you never had one, by you indexing yourself, we become your birth certificate. So, if we might say that, we verify that you are on the planet. We verify, we give them a confirmation, we give them that this person truly exists. Even though you can't find a birth certificate, even though you claim this person possibly was born in some manger in Bethlehem, and his parents never registered him like they did Yahoshua Mashiach, or the one you keep calling the Jesus the Christ, and saying that they would never register, we are giving them an assurance. We're giving you an assurance that these people exist. And I need the United States of America people to understand this was not a free would-be so-called get-out-of-jail card. Someone had to pay for your birth to be on this planet, your life. Someone had to pay a price. Yes, I know you're talking about Jesus the Christ, the one you read about in the Holy Bible, and he gave his blood. I know. You're right. But it's not so simple as you think it was. Because he's still giving his blood to this day. And I know you would agree with that. But it has nothing to do with it all dripping out on the cross, and now they all got this would-be vial of blood that they can go to and keep taking little drops and placing them on what would be classified to you as true documentation that you might be able to exist. No, he's pricking his finger, and he is putting blood splatters on everything that comes to him that's in reference to the righteous people of the planet right now. That's what's happening. And all the nations on the planet are doing the exact same thing. They're sending their documents to him that he might give them a confirmation of agreement that, yes, you exist. And you are not some foreign agent. You're not some foreign creature. You're not some foreign would-be particle or object. But you are of the origin that we know you to be, of a world of celestial. Not celestial, but celestial. And even though, yes, your father is considered to be celestial, you are celestial as well as your father first was celestial, now celestial. And it gives you the ability to be able to claim both sides, celestial and celestial. That's DNA and RNA. Now, I'm making it plain, and I'm constantly having to sit down as if though I have a bunch of kindergartners or elementary students sitting before me who is just now beginning to learn their numbers and their ABC. They're just now learning. And I don't need anybody confusing them with these would-be wild sounds that doesn't truly exist. I need them to have the proper sound. Because sooner or later, those proper sounds are going to become proper nouns and proper pronouns. They will become proper adjectives. They will become proper action words. And all of us have to be on the same would-be constant rhythm of what is known as the truth, or we're going to be annihilated. Or I say, you will be annihilated because we won't. I'm not going with you, not on that particular mission or journey. I don't have to. Now, the United Nations has defined the essential features of population and housing census as individuals numerating a numeration, universality within a defined territory. Now, they did this stimulating a process of nothing more than defining it periodically, and that's every year. And they have recommended that the population census be taken at least every 10 years. But at the same time, the United States of America has halted now for about 50 years on their count. Stay with me. So again, what is taking place based upon indexing right now is getting a proper count of the individuals in the United States of America, whereby they won't classify you non-productive. Neither will they classify you as non-existent, because you would have identified yourself and put them in a position whereby when they come to the Universal World Court with their lie about only having 300 plus people, 300 plus million, let me give them their benefit of the doubt, 300 plus million people. And when we look at it, and America has over 2 billion people, we'll be able to amass a would-be true court system to be able to handle those who have mishandled the count of personnel of the population in America, because they have been doing that purposely, providing a moment for themselves to be able to eliminate some numbers of you. For all of you brain dead United States American citizens right now that don't know what indexing is all about, and I'm clarifying right now, please play it on your YouTube and stop listening to all of them knuckleheads and crazy people and deranged people out there talking about some elitist title to the land and they in charge and this and that. They don't even know what to be in charge is all about. They have no clue. None. They themselves have been indexed, the majority of them. And they still don't understand, because they think it's a scam. They think it's a show. They think it's some reason that they might be able to join it just so they can be able to get their little small group off to the side and start charging people money to be indexed. And they thinking that's cool, that's okay. And they need to understand that once this census or this indexing takes place at the United Nations, we're going to do nothing more than send them before the guillotine. We're going to cut their heads off. I'm telling you, your head is going to be severed off your body. If you're out there now and you have been generating funds, lying and manipulating, talking about you got an elitist title, or you own the land, or you're the tribe of the would-be so-called people that were on the land first, you go right ahead and say that. At the end of the day, that is a blood oath that you must take. That blood oath has already been given to you. You just don't even know it, because you don't speak the language. And because you don't speak the language of true Israelites, Hebrews on the planet, you are going to be terminated off the planet, because you cannot pronounce all the secret words and which come about through this would-be process. I know, you can call it what you want to, secret society, you can call it the Illuminati, you can call them the cabals, you can call them whatever you want to. At the end of the day, they're going to exterminate you if you do not have the true words to whatever phrase is being used that day, that you might be able to use the would-be so-called distinguished knocks, of whether it be 5 knocks, 2 knocks, 3 knocks, 7 knocks, 8 knocks, and you can go up to 15 knocks. If you don't know what day those knocks are being used, on what given day, you're going to be exterminated off the planet because you are going to be found a manipulator, a liar, and your trust will be destroyed by all the nation leaders of this planet. I'm just giving everyone the truth right now. Why? Because I know I was one of the people that we instrumentally put all of this together. We know all about Leowanta. We know all about Satoshi Nakamoto. We know all about the would-be WikiLeaks and all these other processes of so-called systems that has gone viral based upon some media, based upon some world media, some world viral would-be so-called systematic that has gone out to do nothing more than destroy the people. Right now, everybody's caught up and worrying about the soap operism of the world, and I've been cautioning people now for about 50 years on this. We have been indexing in the United States of America for 50 years now, and the United States of America still seems to be brain dead. I'm talking about when we say the census has been going on since the beginning of time, but we had to find some way to be able to clarify what the census was doing or was not doing, and that's where identifying or indexing came about. That's why it came about. That's why they're talking about the zero. Indexing zero. It's called net zero. It's what it's called. That was the process. My brother spent hours and hours of wake hours, woke hours, time when he should have been sleeping. He was up drafting up documents after documents, handwriting them. I bring to you. And we were spending hours and hours and hours of the week, hours of the night, and early would be done just to make sure that we dotted all I's and crossed all T's. And we also made sure that every S that needs to swivel like a snake was placed on the documents properly. Now, they tell you that indexing is a useful way for us to compare a specific group of people. They say often bookers, to a large set of the population. Now, believe it or not, America is much larger than what it has given to the people. And I know half of you probably still saying 328 million. You got to understand that just recently, over a course of 3 months, 90 days, 3 months, more than 500,000 people have found themselves in New York City. 500,000. Listen to this, though. According to the records of what came across, we could say at least right now 200 million people came across. And adding 200 million to 380 million, that will at least give you close to 600 million people. 500 million would give you at least half of what is known, there you go, as a billion people. And believe it or not, it was 500 million before that 300 million came across, or that 200 million. It was already 500 million people plus. And it was closer to the billion man than it was to the million man at that moment. Rounding it off by every point that was on the paper, you could have classified it as at least being 900 million people. I'm just giving you facts. For all of you that still are confused about indexing, like your brain dead, like you just don't get it, like you think you're going to be able to be put up in a house, or you're going to be having a new car, or that you're going to be able to have a new job, or you're going to get a raise, and you don't even understand that if you're not in this number count, you're going to be eliminated. Whether you be working for, you could be working for William Gates, you can be working for Elon Musk. If your name don't show up on this census, or if it's not in this indexing, you are going to be killed off this planet. That's what's going to happen to you. I don't care how much you have put away for your retirement. I don't care if you believe that you got $2-3 billion in retirement right now. Get ready for it to go back into the pot for the rest of the population, because if you're not identified, they're going to exclude you. They're going to terminate you. And they're going to keep right on moving. For all of you that say, I don't know what indexing is. I don't trust you guys. What are you guys talking about? You should wake up your dead mama or your dead dad. They'll tell you what indexing is all about. All you got to do is use 6 letters for them, and they'll tell you. 6 letters you can give your daddy, your mama, your granddaddy, your great-grandmama. You can give them 6 letters right now, CENSUS. And every last one of them that can understand these 6 consonant letters, every last one of them that can read those 6 letters will tell you that that's been around even before they were born. And they would tell you, if you're not part of that, you're going to be eliminated. Because I just told you, this census was not just counting people. It was counting everything. Everything. It was counting the animals. It was counting the lakes based upon volume of how much water it was. How do you think they're now able to tell you that there possibly could be a shortage of water? How do you think they can do that? With all of the oceans and the Atlantic, the Pacific, how do you think, in their right mind, they're able to give you a would-be so-called percentage of water based upon possibility of it going to a point where it will be a shortage of it for the population of people, unless they know the true count of the population of the people. That's the only way they're going to be able to calculate it. And you sitting out there like a bunch of dummies just don't want to comply. And this is, I would say, they would tell me, they're not envying me. They don't want to be me because they know, they tell me, your job is hard. Yahoshua Mashiach, you got a hard job. You're trying to convince some brain-dead people that were the same people that got you placed on the cross, they would say now, 2,000 years ago, at least. And you're still dealing with those brain-dead, stiff-necked people. Only because you wanted to save them, you sat there and gave $875 billion of your personal account based upon your bloodline, and they still seem to not get it. They don't get it. Statistically speaking, they're all brain dead. And that's what all the nations are saying to me. That's what the United States are saying to me. The United States of America is not mad at me. They're not. As a matter of fact, they're questioning my sanctity. They said, you got to be crazy dealing with these people. They don't get it. They're not going to listen to you. This census is measuring education by age and sex in all of the regions around this planet. They are constantly, currently, checking out the administrative data systems, numerating based upon privacy. And they are some places where they are totally biased based upon the estimates. And they don't care anything about you because they have everything covered. Monetary, all the way to marketing, planning, research, business. All of those areas are covered. And you brain-dead Americans just seem to not be able to get it. Queen Elizabeth did not count you, you dummies. Queen Elizabeth, let me repeat, did not count you. So anybody out there claiming that they got some authority or some authorization from Queen Elizabeth, it's a lie. Because they wasn't even counted. You cannot go to the Vatican and get some so-called secretarial keys and make yourself leader over any would-be world, free or slave, free or bonded. You can't do that because the Vatican don't even have the ability to even give itself that authority. And they're taking their authority straight from us. I can tell you right now, the Vatican is seriously trying to dodge me. They don't even want to hear from me anymore because they know I'm going to eliminate them when I get ready. And I don't care who is the sitting pope. I don't care if he's sitting down, laying down, standing around. I don't care if he's on his deathbed. I'm going to eliminate them like they never existed. And the only way they're going to survive is if they get on the righteous side and get in step to what's going on. Meantime, I'm going to do us a favor because I don't know. I guess the host might have some other things she want to bring you. So let me do us all a favor for a short moment and take a break.
Thank you, sir. Wow. Okay, family. It's all been laid out for you. I don't know how he can make it any more clear. I've been racking my head trying to make it even more clear, which is why I gave you what I gave you tonight's call. But if you don't listen and you don't comply, bye-bye. And that's all I can say. We've done our best. We've been at this, well, together for the last 20 years, working, trying to save your backsides. Yes, some of you have complied. Some of you have come in and even been very thankful, constantly telling me to send to Yahoshua your appreciation and your love and your thanks. And I do that to the best of my ability, try to remember to always let him know how much loved and appreciated he is by those that have been indexed. But you know, family, the non-productive one just came across my screen, beloved. It just showed up. But where we're at right now.
If it showed up, don't stop reading.
Okay.
You know what I would say. Read it so the people would get an understanding. Listen, I want to say this, and I don't mean to cut into the break time and take over your conversation, but I need you to think on this. The people that we're dealing right now, again, I classify them as being my home. This is my home. This is my family. The United States, if they still want to call themselves that, I know this to be the land of Montezuma. This is the land where Archibald Henderson made sure that it was still on the map after the wars took place. When the 1st Marine Corps took to the field, along with then known as the Army Air Corps, when they all took to the field, they went there to save this land, to save this planet. And upon doing that, now being the land of Montezuma, we have to get this out to the people in a matter where they will stop being brain dead. They have to. We have to somehow wake the people up. If I might remind you, we've been doing this for 20 years together now. We've been doing this for years together. And I know you were there a few years, even before me. I can tell you, before you met me, put it that way. But I've been out here now for 50 years. 50 years going. I took it serious, I would say now, about 43 years ago. 33 years, that means 10 years ago when we started this call, I had already been doing this for about 33 serious years. And now it's been about 43 because we've been doing this about 10 years now. And I still got people now that are dragging their tails, and I call them demons because Lucifer drags his tail. He has a long tail, in case the people don't know, and he drags his tail. And every now and then he tries to run, but every time he runs, he kind of takes flight a little bit. You know how a frog, when he jumps and he takes flight, every time he still has to come down, he bucks his tail again. You'll catch it in a minute. And that's what's happening to the majority of the people that we classify to be Lucifer's children, or Lucifer's children, his offspring. That's what they're doing. Because you can't get them to break that cycle of ignorance and get on board to save themselves. So if you would, please do me a favor and read Non-Productive. And I need everybody to tune their ears in to what non-productive is all about, and non-producing, because non-productive means non-producing. Go ahead, beloved. Ideal.
Non-productive. Not producing or able to produce goods, crops, or economic benefit, tending to be less forceful in meaning than unproductive. Non-productive and unproductive. It said non-productive is a less forceful way of saying unproductive. And they use non-productive land as an example. The second definition is achieving little, time-wasting, non-productive activities. Wow.
And believe it or not, they have classified the whole United States of America and its citizens as being non-productive. They haven't just done it for certain people, like, my brothers and sisters would say, well, they only did it for the poor people, or well, they only did it for the niggers. No, they only did it for the crackers. They only did it for the honkies. No, they only did it for the Spics and the Mexicans. No, they did it for the entire nation that's classified as the United States of America. The United States of America has been classified non-productive, not producing. That's why nobody wants your cows anymore. Nobody wants your pigs. They don't want your pork. They don't want your so-called fair trade. They don't want your so-called weapons agreement contracts. They don't want any of that because it's non-productive. It does not produce anything. And is anybody getting this?
Yes, sir.
Am I just talking, or is anyone getting? I'm teaching. Remember, I've told you, teaching is caught, not taught. Is anyone getting what I'm saying?
It's clear as a bell to me, sir. I hope some of them are getting it.
I don't know, because we're losing so many people. Do you understand that the other nations cannot claim as many as America can claim for the losses that just happened 3 years in a row, and it was classified COVID-19. That was corporation versus identification in the 19th century and beyond. And America lost more individuals to this one would-be so-called virus of a vaccination that was to cure it or even to eliminate it, and it practically eliminated it. And it's still eliminating them because they are classified non-productive. God Almighty. What part are they missing? Is it me? Is there something wrong with my teaching? Help me out, people. I'm not going to talk like T.D. Jakes. I'm not going to sound like your Oral Roberts. I'm not going to come to you and beg and plead with you like your Billy Graham. I'm just bringing it to you straight. I'm not going to be your Joyce Myers. I'm not going to go get a facelift so I can look a little prettier so you might be able to focus on my face and hear me. I'm not doing any of that. I need you to wake up, or as my father would say, you will wake up dead.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we're at. If you got some more to bring to them, go ahead. Don't let me stop you. My dear home. Whatever you got.
Okay, family. He'll be back in just a moment. Look, those of you that are messing with the calls, you're not going to silence him. He'll be back in just a moment, and whatever he's got left to say, he's going to say. And the American people right now are going to either get it, or just as he said, they're going to wake up dead. We've been out here for years. People have picked up these calls. They've duplicated them. They've added them onto their website.
I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when.
There it was. I
knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. They were prepared to cut me off a long time ago. It's just that I keep texting towards them, and thereby kind of put them in a position where they understand they're all under a would-be gag order. They're all under a would-be, if we might say it, I'm giving them a would-be affidavit, whereby they have to comply. So right now, they're wanting the people to tune me out or to shut me off. And when the people don't, they make it look as if, oh, sorry, sir, we accidentally cut your phone off. You didn't just cut me off. They understand I got 3 phones, okay? They understand that I be dealing with them through the iPhone 15, the 14, and the 13. So they understand for a fact to cut me off is not going to work, because then they'll have me to go down to the master would-be computer, and I'll start doing nothing more than communicating from there. As you told the people, it's going to be hard for them. It's going to be easy for me. If they're able to tune in to me, they're going to be okay. But if their communications get cut off and they want to cut off TikTok, you know why? Because TikTok belongs to China. And China's been leaving it open just for this purpose. Mm-hmm. They want to shut down every would-be so-called system now that's not under the American control. And believe it or not, America's got control over everything that's going on in America, not outside. They can stop you from printing a document. They can stop you from viewing the document. They can control all of that, because in 1985, they made that be a possibility based upon doing nothing more than telling you to turn in your would-be Microsoft 85. Because once you turn in your Microsoft 85, you didn't have all of the applications, the knife that you have, all the ability to be able to do what we know to be. You could override everything and everything they were doing with that one computer. They could not be able to do anything. They couldn't scrub your computer. They couldn't scrub your system. They couldn't even keep you out of the would-be Congressional Congress Library. You could just click in on them and start listening. Didn't need no one to be talking about some hacker. You had the hacking machine of the century. It was called Windows 85. And people gave up their machines. They turned them in. They were sending everybody these nice gateways, come to your house dressed like a would-be so-called dairy cow. Everybody wanted one of those boxes. Give me a dairy cow box. And everybody didn't realize they was taking away certain would-be applications that you had that was brilliant. And they couldn't do anything to stop it. And they got it back from you. Many of you gave it back. You gave it back. You gave up your assurance. You gave it up. I know they're listening to me. I know. I don't care. Because they know that they got April the 8th to get passed, and then they'll probably start talking to me again. But I can assure you that come April the 9th, I'll make them shut up again. Yes, he rose. He rose from the grave. And when he rose from the grave, he got up with all power of heaven and earth in his hand. And no one can take it unless he gives it to them. And I can assure them, I'm not giving them anything. Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Amen.
We are moving now. And for all of my brothers and sisters that are out there, that you think that you're so intelligent, you think that you're in a position where you're working for Congress, you're working for the Supreme Court, you're working for would-be so-called, you want to be a diplomat, you think that you're going to be able to do this.